had some complaints about some wind signs that have been placed within the city limits, and according to our ordinance, we don't allow wind signs. Those can be humans holding signs within the city. It can be the fabric signs that are installed into the ground and blow in the wind, and it also can be those moving, human-looking moving fabric signs as well. And so in an effort to enforce the ordinance, we're going to be going around doing some public education and getting people to remove those.
Okay. Now, you mean the ones that have the little blowers that make it look like they're going up and down type deal?
Those, Peter, are included in this, and also just the fabric signs that people are purchasing that they're displaying in front of their businesses.
Okay. Now, why are these against the code?
Well, as compliance officers, we enforce the code, and the city council decided that they weren't going to allow them in the city limits, and that was largely due to the fact that they're pretty light and can, in the middle of a storm or whatnot, become a traffic hazard or safety issue.
Okay, so they can blow away and perhaps get in somebody's way, or perhaps a bicyclist or a pedestrian could be harmed?
Exactly. They can also be placed in the right-of-way, and when they're placed in the right-of-way, pedestrians and bicyclists are more difficult to be able to be seen, and so that also becomes a hazard as well.
Okay. And so what else will you be looking for?
We'll also be looking to make sure that when people do have signs, that they're also permitted within the city. We've had a lot of people installing signs, and every sign that is in the city limits needs to be permitted, and so we're just going to be looking for those as well. But we decided that because there were so many people that were purchasing them, we wanted to do just a week-long sweep of just making sure that we educate people before we ask them to remove them.
Okay, so the whole idea is just to visit, just a friendly, hey, I just want you to know that this does not meet the sign ordinance, and here's why. And then, do you give them a certain amount of time to make that right, or how does that work?
Sure. Well, it's going to take us a couple of weeks to go out and do compliance. And so we're hoping that they'll take them down voluntarily when they get this message. But if they don't, we'll go out and visit with them, do a little bit of education with them about removing them. If they don't comply, then they'll get a 21-day letter from our department just telling them that they have 21 days to comply, and then if that does not happen, then we'll make a referral to the to the city attorney, and that's our normal process.
All right. And with the city attorney, is there an actual, they have to appear and pay a fine and that sort of thing?
They'll give them some time to comply as well. Our whole idea at the city is to get people to do things voluntarily without, installing a fine or anything like that. So I know that our city attorneys like to work with people, just send out information and in the hopes that they'll, comply.
Sure. Well, Charmel, if you wouldn't mind, we'll be putting this up on our website, so just to make it really clear, what is it that constitutes a legal sign, and what is it that constitutes a sign that is not legal?
Sure. The signs that are legal within the city limits are anything that's permitted and approved by the city. And so anytime someone's installing signs, they need to visit with the city, find out what is allowed, and get a permit for that city. We do allow people to have banners, but and those temporary banners are allowed for 2 weeks, twice a year, and those also require permits. So if people are having a special sale or whatnot, they also need to come into the city and get those permitted. The things that we don't allow and the things that we prohibit are the use of flags or pennants, streamers, spinners, or other types of wind-driven signs, and we'll be actually going out and enforcing that.
Okay. All right. Is there a fee for when I come in? Let's say I want to put up a sign. Is there a fee that I have to pay for each sign, or how does that work?
There is. There's a fee when you get your sign permitted, and those vary depending on size and the type of sign that you're putting on, and that's what our permitting department, usually sits down and discusses with people what type of sign, and usually the measurements are very important, and then that way they can determine what the fee will be.
Okay. Now I realize it can be hard to be a sign compliance officer. So how do you deal with someone who might be a little bit resistant to hearing what you have to say?
Well, we're lucky that most of the time as compliance officers when we visit with people and we explain the way that the ordinance is written, they're usually pretty good about following our compliance. But, we do get that occasional person that maybe needs a more stern warning from the city attorney, and we try not to ever get to that point. We like to work with people ahead of time.